Hello again, and welcome to another dangerous episode of Forbidden Knowledge. My name is Craig. We are here live, if you are listening, on Liberty Tree Radio, Wednesday, November 20th. But we're also live on YouTube for anybody who's going to be joining us. I decided to go on both again. This time I've got a computer that doesn't... I got a laptop that has a video that isn't what they call portrait. I hate that mode, but that's what my phone was making me do. So, live show. We're going to talk about what's going on in the Middle East, folks, and Ukraine. But we're about to be involved in a war that we not only will not win, but we can't afford. That is just going to be disastrous for our country and frankly the world, because it probably will be a world war. And when I say world war, please believe me, understand the common myth that I call a myth that world war means nuclear war. It doesn't necessarily mean nuclear war. It could mean nuclear war. It doesn't mean it will be. It's possible it will be. I don't know. And I'm not scared of that so much. Just being at war alone is going to be disastrous for us. The chat's open on YouTube. Let me see here. I don't need a moderator. It's asking me about moderation. Most channels will have to have moderators, and I have a lot of trolls on my channel, on my YouTube channel. But you're welcome to call in through Liberty Tree Radio. You're also welcome to chat on YouTube, and hopefully I'll be able to monitor those now that I have a means of doing so, because I'm on my own channel this time. Okay, even though my own channel because I'm not monetized, my own channel is basically, the YouTube really messes it up. So I can't even watch my own videos sometimes. I'm not monetized. I don't ask for donations. I don't have affiliate links. I don't have you go to Patreon or GoFundMe or Coffee or whatever they call it. I don't do any of that stuff. I do this out of my own need to spread some knowledge, try to get through the lies of the mainstream media. A lot of this is going to sound tonight to be anti-Trump. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for the other one, no matter who. Neither one was a good choice, in my opinion. But Trump, even though he's been claiming that he's going to be anti-war, he's going to draw us directly into a war. He's proven it with all his cabinet choices. Is the lighting good? I think the lighting's good enough. I could turn up this light a little bit if you wanted, but I don't think it's necessary. I mean, a little bit. So again, for those of you on YouTube, I'm also on Liberty Tree Radio. It's a network I've been on for probably 15 to 20 years. I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long time. I do this once a week on Liberty Tree Radio when I can. I mean, I've been so busy that now that the winter's coming along, I might be on the air more often than in the warmer months when it's still daylight out and I can still work at my property. But I've been on that network for quite a long time, and that is Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And to listen to it live, if I'm not on YouTube, if you want to check that out, it's on libertytreeradio.4mg.com. I think that's what it is. I hope it was. Ed can probably correct me if that's wrong. So libertytreeradio.4mg.com. Anyway, hello. Jacques, is that how you say that? I'm not French, and I think that's a French name. Thanks everybody for joining me both live on YouTube and Liberty Tree Radio. Okay, so we are about ready to be involved in a war. Two wars possibly, and it's going to probably be either way, either direction we take. Let's start with the latest news before we get on to what's going on in Israel, in the Middle East. Let's talk about Ukraine. Now, the Ukraine war has basically been over for more than a year. About a year and a half has been over with. The mainstream media has been lying to you all along about this. It's not what they're portraying it as. It's been over a long time ago. So approving these new missiles from the U.S. that our cadaver-in-chief did the other day isn't going to make any difference. No difference whatsoever. The war has already been lost. It's just a showpiece. I don't know if Biden is trying to do this to demonstrate how his support for Ukraine, for some ungodly reason. Why are we supporting Ukraine? Why do we support in the beginning? It's really about being against Russia as far as our administration is concerned. And it's been that way for 60 years, 70 years. It's been that way for a long time. We've always been, our administration has always been beat the Russians kind of attitude. We need to destabilize them. We need to stop them. There's been so many lies about the Ukraine situation. Zelensky is not our friend, never was. Russia is not our enemy, never really was either. but the mainstream press wants to get you to believe that. So a lot of you may be disturbed. If you're disturbed by what I'm saying, that only means that I know you haven't really checked into things. That's really what it means. You haven't really looked into what's beyond being spoon-fed to you by the mainstream media, then you're going to get mad at what I'm going to say tonight about a lot of things I'm going to say. Also, I think today they just approved the use of landmines, U.S.-made landmines in Ukraine, and all but those landmine use has been basically been degraded to where only 5 countries of the world now allow the use of anti-personnel landmines. U.S. being one of them, now Ukraine. So, and this is not going to make any difference either. Remember, Ukraine has already lost. It doesn't matter how many billions of dollars we send to them or how much equipment we send to them. The war is already lost for them. It's just a matter of time. One thing that Trump has promised to do is end it within a day. I don't think he can do it in a day, but he could probably end it. Biden could end it really quickly, too, just by stopping all arms and money going to Ukraine. That's it. Simple. That's all it would do to take it. Our cadaver-in-chief doesn't want to do that, obviously. He's spending more money, throwing in more money, trying to throw in so much more money before Trump takes office. And maybe it's just to embarrass Trump. I don't know, because now it's a problem he has to deal with. If he can turn it around in a day, hey, that'd be great. I think it's going to take a lot more in a day. And hopefully this doesn't escalate before then. And maybe that's one of the things Biden wants too. Does he want this to escalate for Trump before? And so he's got a bigger nightmare that he's got coming up now. Is that what he's trying to do? I don't know. I don't think he knows what he's trying to do. I think it's all his advisors. Blinken. This is what's Biden isn't running things. If anybody believes Biden is really running the show here, I think you got a problem here. World War III, central bank digital currency, 21st century high-tech ration book for World War III. I'm not exactly sure what that means, what I just said about World Central Bank, World War III Central Bank, a comment somebody put on the chat of YouTube. So I don't know really what that means. Maybe you can elaborate some. I don't really know enough about digital currency. I don't believe in digital currencies, folks. I mean, it's not that I don't believe they don't exist. It's just I don't believe. I certainly wouldn't invest in them. It's frankly very disturbing to me to see people investing in Bitcoin, especially. Bitcoin is the one that's always centered on. Nobody really knows who owns most of those shares. Could easily be manipulated by whoever owns those shares. You could lose all your, quote, money, even though it's not really money. It's just bits and bytes in a computer. And I don't think the Federal Reserve Bank and other worldwide monetary systems that have been in control of this world for so long is actually going to allow some guy behind a computer in Japan or wherever this was created, I can't remember where they said it was created, to totally disrupt their international monetary system, the flow of money. I don't think that's even logical, and it's certainly not logical in my mind. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why you think this is a stab at the man and a way to remove yourself from the system and to get your money into something that I think is fully monitored. I think they have full control of it, but they got you believing otherwise, so that's why some people go towards it. I don't know. But anyway, got a little off track there. The war in Ukraine has been done with a long time. We are headed for, I don't like to use the word Armageddon here, but hopefully, Putin has recently updated their nuclear doctrine, which basically their policy of use of nuclear weapons. Nuclear, from what I just understand, in Russia now they just been put on high alert in Russia. Putin warned the U.S. and the world basically that he would use nuclear weapons, and recently also elaborated on that any use of weapons remade by a NATO country would be considered a direct attack on Russia, and which means he would be basically declaring war with NATO. The 32 countries of NATO, which are also reduced in Russia would win a war against NATO as well. In my opinion, based on everything I've been looking at, I'm not pro-Russia here, folks. Russia did a terrible thing by invading Ukraine. I wish they wouldn't have, invading a sovereign nation. I'm not pro-Russian, but everybody's going to want to say that because of what I'm going to tell you tonight. But Russia has won the war, and Russia would probably be winning against NATO. we don't belong in NATO. We have no business being there. Trump has said as much, and the countries, they don't pay their price. He's not going to defend them. He's said that time and time again. And we should have been got out of NATO a long time. We never should have got in. So if any country in Europe is attacked, and now also, but if you haven't heard in the last few hours, British missiles has now also been fired into Russia territory, the Kursk area in the neighborhood, from what I understand, called the Storm Shadow. That's the name of the missile, the type of missile, which now Russia could treat as an attack by Britain on Russia, and could literally nuke Britain if they want. But let's send a tactical nuclear weapon to London. Let's see what they think about that. I don't think that's going to happen, folks, and I don't think he's going to use nuclear. I'm hoping Putin, when you watch and listen to what he actually says, not what the mainstream media tells you he says, but actually what he really says, he's actually pretty sane on a whole lot of things here, and I tend to believe what he's saying. And he doesn't want to use nuclear weapons. He's said this over and over again, but he will if he has to. Russia can absorb the strikes of these missiles, both from the U.S. and Britain and any other country, basically, without really much problem. So I'm hoping a cooler head prevails in him and he doesn't follow through with his threats. Maybe he's bluffing. Let's hope he is, because if he's not bluffing, the missiles could be on their way anytime. And if he's not bluffing, I'm not worried about the nuclear. I'm really not worried about the nuclear aspect of it, and I'll try to explain that a little bit later. And for full disclosure here, I do sell radiological survey equipment, Geiger counters, dosimeters, radiation detection equipment. I sell all this stuff, and I never do try to sell them on the show. I try not to. I don't try to sell anything on the show. And so maybe you think I'm biased on this, but I've done a lot of research about nuclear war, and I'm not afraid of it. In fact, and I'm going to post this actually for those in the chat while I'm talking about it. Hopefully I can do this now this week, that I'm actually doing this for my own channel. I'm talking about YouTube people here, folks. So I'm just now posting in the chat a link to an article which you really want to read, and I'll tell everybody else what the article is. It's called "The Good News About Nuclear Destruction." I think, let me scroll down. Yeah, "The Good News About Nuclear Destruction" by Shane Connor. I've met the man a few times out of Texas. He also sells radiation detection equipment. Here's two people telling you that he used to have the largest stockpile in the country. I don't know if he does anymore because of what happened here a couple of years ago. But I told him I may have the largest stockpile in the country now. And here's two of the biggest suppliers of radiation detection equipment telling you that we're not worried about nuclear war. That runs counter to what we should be telling you, right? We should be fear-mongering to sell you more equipment. No, that's not it at all. The only thing I recommend for preppers out there, the only thing I really suggest you get would be potassium iodate. That's it. I don't have very much of it either. Potassium iodate. Before the price goes up to $100 a bottle on eBay, because people were buying it from me at 10, 20 at a time and selling them on eBay, putting the price up 10 times what I sell for. It's ridiculous. And that means I have to raise my price, otherwise I'm out of business. And I hate really having to do that, but that's just supply and demand. Because I don't have very many, and I can't get any during such times. I can't get any. 2.5 years ago, when Russia invaded, my sales did go up. They started talking about nuclear war. Then a year later, when he started talking about nuclear war in his what we would call State of the Union address, he also talked about nuclear war. My sales went up a little bit, but now there's been no orders. So that's fine by me. I really don't care. But it shows that the pulse of the American people are not worried that they think he's bluffing, or don't understand the real situation. I don't know. Some of the comments on YouTube. It's the new ration book of stamps, 21st century high-tech ration system. Again, I don't believe in cryptocurrency. I think it's a scam to get us into something that is still fully controlled. Federal Reserve are going to sit by after so much work, after 100 years in operation, more than 100 years, and let some pipsqueak destroy their system they worked so hard against for world domination and control. I just don't think that's logical. It would have been made outlaw a long time ago. You don't think our federal government, U.S. government, can shut that down in an instant? I think you're wrong. People are never going to realize how dangerous these high-tech systems are any more than a mouse realized it should not have eaten that peanut butter. Somebody else says, "Hey, Craig, great to see you back on YouTube Live. Hope you can see Hope to see you at your table back in Indy soon. Oh, somebody who knows me from a show I do in Indianapolis. I don't do many shows anymore. I haven't really had to. When the pandemic hit, for those of you who don't know, when the pandemic hit, because I sell prepper supplies, I sold thousands of gas masks online, even though I told people, no, you don't want a gas mask. You don't need a gas mask. They bought them anyway. Price went up. I basically could almost retire in the near term because of that. And then Putin did his nonsense in Ukraine, and then I should send him a Christmas card. So that was, I don't fearmonger. I really don't fearmonger, but this is a serious situation here. Hopefully Putin can hold back because they can absorb the strikes. They're not going to be very effective with these missile strikes. We don't have enough of these missiles. We're going to use them all here. When we get into the real war, we're not going to have anything to shoot with. I mean, we've been giving it all to Israel and to Ukraine. And what are we going to have left for us? Our military is so demoralized. I could name a lot of other words here, and I'm not a military person, and a lot of people will be mad at me. I talked to somebody here recently, and I guess I should talk about sometimes. I get off track sometimes, but I was talking to somebody who was in the Navy, and he served aboard a nuclear aircraft carrier. Of course, all our aircraft carriers are nuclear these days. And he was telling me that I guess they have 11. I didn't know they had that many. We have 11 nuclear aircraft carriers, U.S. And he said that, and I asked, well, how many are in service? Because I figured probably 3 or 4 of them were always out of service at any one time. He said, no, all of them are in service. Oh, okay. And I mentioned about hypersonic missiles, how we can't shoot them down, and no matter how many ships around this aircraft carrier they have, they wouldn't be able to stop a hypersonic missile incoming. Now, one hypersonic missile isn't going to take down an aircraft carrier. An aircraft carrier has so many compartments that you could hit several compartments. It's not going to sink the thing. The only thing you really could do is hit it on the deck and disable it and have a big hole in the deck. Then you might not be able to launch certain planes off it for quite some time. That's about the only thing that hypersonic. So he wasn't really worried about the hypersonic missiles. He was saying there's some other kind of missile. He had a name for it. I don't know what it was. He had some other kind of missile he named that was a missile that it sounded more like a torpedo to me, that goes under the ship and explodes. If this particular missile or torpedo, again, sorry folks, I don't know the name of this or the details. I didn't look it up later. If this particular missile went under the ship, midships, in the middle of the ship, under an aircraft carrier, and detonates under the ship, it basically breaks the back of the aircraft carrier and breaks it in two, and then it's done for. It breaks the keel, and the ship's done. And I don't remember the name of the person who said this in the U.S. military, that China has a bigger Navy than us, by the way, now. And they could take off all our aircraft carriers in 20 minutes, according to this official from, I think it was the Defense Department. And again, I don't have that quote in front of me, so I don't really know exactly what he said. Look into that, and I can't do this all. I'm here alone. I can't do all this. Look all this stuff up live. So if we get in a major conflict, now, okay, you're not worried about China. Well, other countries could probably do the same thing. Look at our ships in the Red Sea and the Mediterranean. They're so close to being in the firing line that they could be doomed very quickly. Our military these days relies on naval and air power. Our ground forces don't really get involved usually in these wars that we have, the so-called wars. But of course, I'm using the word war loosely, but for the sake of people that don't understand the Constitution, which clearly says that Congress has to be the one to declare war. The cadaver-in-chief can't just come along and say, yeah, we're at war now, and launch missile strikes or whatever. No, he can't do that. Congress has to declare war. But anyway, that's being set aside because the last time we were really at war was in World War II. All these other things we've had in the last 70 years have been not wars. They've been whatever you want to call them, but they haven't been wars. But I'm going to call them wars for the purposes of this discussion, even though I know they aren't wars. Technically, they aren't wars. But we've had all these things going on that I can name about 20 places that we've been involved with over the last 70 years. We had no business being in my opinion, and I'm no politician, obviously I never would be a politician by saying this, we need to close down our 750 plus military bases all over the world. And I don't mean like our cadaver-in-chief did it in several years ago with Afghanistan. I mean a controlled, take a year or two to bring all our troops home, bring all our equipment home that we want to keep, and so on. Not just jumping on a plane and flying out. No, that's not the way to do it. So he did it incorrectly, but at least he did it. Trump didn't do it. Trump likes to brag he wasn't at war. He didn't start any wars. Well, he almost started one with Iran, but he was told by someone that you better not do this because when he killed that general in Iran, some major, I don't know if it was general, some major military person in Iran with a drone. Remember that? And then they retaliated by attacking one of our bases I think it was in Iraq. And then he was told, you better, this is the consequences if you do this. And so he decided to back down. But he would have started a big war with that. But he's hell-bound to start a war in Israel. And let's get into that again here. But let me finish up with Ukraine, if I haven't done so well enough here yet. Somebody else says about the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve, we've been exploring the potential benefits and risks of CBDCs from a variety of angles, including through technological research and experimentation. End of quote. Now, this is what somebody says on YouTube chat. Doesn't mean it's true, but you can look into that. Again, I don't believe that the Federal Reserve, I think, has full control. Whoever controls the Federal Reserve has full control of cryptocurrencies around the world. That's my opinion. I can't prove that, but it's just way too suspicious for me. Yeah. Somebody else says he sees me at the Indy show, Indianapolis, Indiana. I do a show, I think 3 times a year I do that show. I don't do the summer shows. I really don't do so many shows anymore. I really haven't had to. I got this project I'm working on. I might do some more shows in the wintertime, and I still do that Dragon Con show every year. These shows only because I may have trouble getting back in the future, and I want to avoid having to be on a waiting list, like I was on a waiting list for 8 years for Knob Creek. Don't want to get on a waiting list for these, so I want to be able to get back in. So I kind of reluctantly do them still on occasion. Yeah, I'm speaking about the Federal Reserve. Where's Ron Paul? Ron Paul still is alive. He still has a website. He still talks about issues. He was wanting to monitor the Federal Reserve to, what's the right word? Not monitor, but can't think of the word right now. Because the Federal Reserve is one of our enemies of the world, folks. You may not understand what I'm talking about, but you might want to look into it. It's not federal and it's not a reserve. Controlling the money is key to our political system. When you control the money, you control the people. So to think this cryptocurrency is going to be allowed to come in and disrupt their apple cart, no, not going to happen. Okay, so Ukraine, the war is over with. If Putin holds off, which he can, if he wants to, but then he'll look bad in his administration to look like he's not real. He's like bluffing, and he may have to do something. And maybe it's using a huge bomb on Kyiv. I say Kyiv instead of Kiev. Some people say Kiev. I say Kyiv because that's what Zelensky says. He says Kyiv, so I'm saying Kyiv. That's how he says it. Maybe he'll do something else. Maybe he won't attack directly the U.S. or England, now in this particular, the UK in this particular instance, or Poland or any other of the NATO countries. But he's basically said he now can legitimately claim he's at war with NATO by his standards. And as soon as he attacks one of the NATO countries, then NATO is supposed to consider NATO to be at war. And NATO's not prepared for any war. Their economies are a wreck in Europe. Their defenses aren't built up. That was one of Trump's major objections to other countries in NATO not paying their fair share. In other words, having, I think it was 3% of their budget to go towards defense, and almost none of them are there. But they're all hurting economically. Europe is in kind of a turmoil, has been for quite a bit. So they're not ready for a war. None of them want a war, but they're all wanting to seem to. They're talking crap, but they don't want to be in a war, and we don't want to be in. We, meaning the American people, don't want to be in a war. Our leaders seem to want to be in a war, but our leaders seem to think Russia is bluffing. Let's hope he is. If he holds off until Trump gets office, we know from everything that Trump has been saying, and regardless of what Zelensky says, there will be finally a negotiation. Trump will sit down with Putin, more than likely, or their people will sit down with his people, and something will start to become of it. Something. May not be good, but something will start becoming of it. And it won't be Ukraine getting back their lands that was stolen by Russia. That won't be on the table, folks. Again, that's over with. But there'll be some kind of negotiated settlement, and basically Trump's going to have to tell Zelensky, hey, you take this deal, we're just going to stop weapons and money coming to your country, and you're done for. He'll take the billions that he probably has and go into the French Riviera or something and try to live off his life unless he gets killed before then. So he'll leave Ukraine in shambles, and we will leave Ukraine, and it will have been in shambles. Just like we have done for the last 70 years, everything we've been involved with, we need to get out of our troops. And I started talking about this, and I got off track again. We get involved in all these wars. We destroy these countries, sometimes without even the American people knowing what we're doing there, the CIA getting involved. And then we leave, and we leave it worse than what it was. Well, always, we leave it worse than what it was. Why is our foreign policy so despicable? We have military bases all around the world. They're going to be major targets. The world hates us right now, and for good reason. The world hates us, and we're walking directly into war. All our military bases all around the world are going to start getting hit when we're at a world war of some kind. And we really have no way of defending all these military, but no way we're going to defend 750 plus military bases around the world. It's not going to be pretty, folks. If Russia doesn't hold back, hopefully he holds back. That's the best outcome. When they get the bargaining table, they start actually talking. That's the best outcome here. And the talks won't be good for Ukraine. And it'll make the U.S. look rather embarrassed, but Trump will have promised on his pledge to get us out of this war and keep us out of a major escalation of war in Europe. Because that's what it would be in Europe, not just the U.S., Europe. Okay, so that's Ukraine's situation. The situation in Israel. Now, this is the one that especially, both of these topics could get me booted from eBay, not eBay, YouTube anytime. And some of the things I say here, and I don't know the keywords that are being monitored and flagged and for removal, but one of them starts with a Z. I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about in relation to Israel. Just the word Israel might be bad enough. Or the J word, which nothing I'm saying is going to be anti-Semitic tonight, but you're going to think it is because you're going to sound like I'm favoring Iran. But I'm not. I'm just trying. I'm going to show you how our country is heading for disaster, regardless of what Trump says. Look at what he does, not what he says. Regardless of what Trump says, we are heading into a war, a direct war with Iran, if we keep supporting Israel, both what we're doing now and what we are going to be doing in the near future under the Trump administration. There's no question in my mind, especially when you start looking at his cabinet picks. Trump, not only during his 4 years of fully supporting Israel, some of the things that really angered the Middle East, like moving the embassy to Jerusalem and making it a capital of Israel, trying to make it a capital of Israel. That, and along with what was the Abraham Accords, some of the other things that he was doing in full support of Israel, already demonstrates where his heart and mind is at. And now, during the campaign, he basically hasn't wavered on that. He's showing full support for Israel. And basically, the only criticism he has is they didn't get the job done quick enough. What is getting the job done? Well, the job, if you look at the actions of Israel, the job is actually basically killing every Palestinian in what they considered the new Israel, the expanded Israel, which would be Gaza, the West Bank, parts of Lebanon, Syria, parts of Jordan. Some of those haven't started happening yet. Egypt, some of these haven't started happening yet. They're still trying to finish up Gaza, and they're losing. The only place you could consider Israel to actually be gaining anything at all is Gaza, and Gaza, they've gone back into northern Gaza 3 times now to try to clean up the mess that they started. They still haven't finished off Gaza. They're still trying to starve them off now. We had this mandate that the U.S. says, oh, within 30 days, if you don't stop the genocide, if you don't, not even genocide, of course, they never would use that word. If you don't bring in more aid trucks, I think it was 250 or 350 aid trucks a day, we're going to have an arms embargo. We're going to start reducing arms. Well, we, of course, that passed many days ago, and we didn't do any such thing. Full support for Israel, no matter what. No matter who is in office, no matter what, full support for Israel. And Trump seems to be on that direct path. Because also, look at his cabinet choices. They're actually despicable as far as Israel policy, as far as getting us into a war. If you're pro-Israel, then, hey, you're going to love the Trump administration. But he's going to draw us directly into a war. Mike Huckabee, good Lord, look what the things that he said about Palestinians and about he thinks he's going to be raptured and Israel is going to dominate and kill everybody and Israel will die, Jews will die too, and then but he's going to go to the rapture. But so he would love this thing to happen. Just absolutely insane. And Israel's reading of a 2,000 plus year old book that the Old Testament that and along with the Talmud that thinks that they're the promise, that they're the rulers of the world and that's the promised land and they need to kick everybody out. That's Israel's goal, is to kick everybody out of all these lands that they've been attacking for the last 70 years, basically. 1948, 47, 48, something like that. This is nothing new here. They're following through with some of the things that they've wanted to do all these years past, ever since the country of Israel was created. Israel would not even exist without us, being the U.S. We send them money, we send them weapons, we support them. Our military is their military as far as the U.S. has always been concerned. We will lose against Iran as well. Because it's not just Iran, you see. Why is Iran a national security problem for the U.S.? Are we in danger? Is our borders in danger of being invaded by Iran? Is our borders in danger of being invaded by Russia? Well, it might be pretty soon if we get involved in the war. The answer is no. Any military, the only legitimate use of a military is for defense. And we've never used our military for that. Not really. We've never used our military for defense. It's always been for CIA operations all over the world to destroy countries. And then we'll just walk away. Oh, yeah, nothing happened. Oh, yeah, we lost another war. Destabilize the country and control a lot of what goes on there through other means. Money. More people on the chat talking about the digital currency. I think I've said all I want to say about that, because I don't really have much more to say about the digital currencies. Be welcome to chat about it if you want amongst yourself. So what is our national security risk of why do we need to attack Iran? But Iran Iran may be holding off too till the Trump administration gets in. But I don't know if they have a reason to, because they're going to be worse as far as when Trump comes in. Because Trump has said that he wants to take out the nuclear proliferation capability of Iran. Iran has been preparing for this for decades. They've built all their nuclear sites deep underground that supposedly even our bunker buster bombs can't reach. So Iran has been preparing for this. Israel certainly can't destroy these. Israel can send more missiles. This last attack of Israel against Iran was pretty disastrous for Iran, for Israel. Almost no damage. You have to look into beyond what the mainstream media is telling you, but Iran may still retaliate on that. And if Iran decides to retaliate big time, Israel is in deep trouble. Israel is already in deep trouble. Their economy is a shambles. They're losing on 3 fronts. Yeah, 3 fronts. Think about it. Gaza, they still haven't been able to do that after more than a year. Lebanon, they've killed thousands of people now in Lebanon. Still haven't stopped the missiles coming in from Lebanon, from Hezbollah. The Houthi have been attacking ships in the Red Sea for a year now, and they haven't been able to stop that. We haven't been able to stop that either. We've been bombing Yemen and the Houthi. They're still blocking the Red Sea trade, attacking whoever they want. It's not always Israeli ships. It's all kinds of ships, but That's what they're doing because they say what's going on in Gaza. The West Bank is being attacked daily, but you don't hear about that much in the news. It's basically becoming a prison camp just like Gaza was. Can you imagine if some invading country come in here? Let's take a stupid imaginary thing like Azerbaijan. Let's say Azerbaijan came in here, came in our border and said, okay, this is our promised land. This is our good book, whatever book Azerbaijan uses. Our good book says this is our promised land. So we're going to start this. All our people are going to come in here and we're just going to start. Well, I like that house over there. You go ahead and take the house. Just kill the people and go on inside. That's your house now. That's what Israel's doing in Gaza and the West Bank and the Golan Heights and what they're going to try to do. They're trying to try to do in Lebanon and Syria and Jordan and Egypt. All these countries are going, even though the Sunni and Shia have been at each other's throats, they're all starting to unite, folks. They're all starting to be against the common enemy, which is Israel. Israel is not going to survive this, and we're trying to back them, and we're not going to survive it either. What can we do? Are we going to send troops on the ground in Israel to try to protect them when missiles are coming our way, their way? Is that what we're going to do? When an errant missile comes to strike, let's say, the USS Cole, which is out there somewhere, I'm not sure if it's in the Red Sea or the Mediterranean, and sinks it. They're going to blame it on Iran no matter who actually hit it. But if you study what happened in 1967 with the USS Liberty, it might not have been Iran at all, or it might have been Israel. Because yes, one of our ships they tried to sink our ships. Who tried to sink our ship? Israel. It was in the Mediterranean Sea, in international waters off the coast of Egypt. It was a spy ship, a U.S. spy ship called USS Liberty. Look it up if you think this is a conspiracy theory. And it was attacked by Israel to try to blame the sinking on Egypt so we would get involved in their 6-day war in the Middle East they called the 6-day war in 1967. Because they wanted, if one of our ships got sunk by Egypt and we're protecting Israel, then, oh, hey, we got to protect Israel. We're now along with Egypt and we'll help you with your war. That was the idea. 34 people were killed. Oh, it doesn't hurt. 34 servicemen were killed in that attack. 171 wounded. The ship did not sink, but they sure tried to do it, both by land, by air, and by sea. Torpedoing, airstrikes, the whole works. They tried to sink it. And when we tried to save the ship by launching from an aircraft carrier, our fighter jets were recalled. Again, this is not all conspiracy theories, folks. Look it up. So if some kind of major conflict, if the Yahoo wants to start a war in the Middle East against Iran and get us involved, one of his missiles, if all these missiles going back and forth between Iran and Israel, one of them happens to hit the USS Cole or some other ship in the Middle East and it sinks it. You think they're going to blame it on Israel when it might have been Israel? False flag event? I don't know. Look into that, folks. Don't believe what the mainstream media is telling you because they're essentially lying. Somebody says I'm yelling. Maybe so. Sorry if it's coming out bad in the microphone here. I don't even know what I sound like here. The bars on the meter aren't pegging out, so it looks like I'm not yelling. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, I get excited about this, and I do speak pretty harshly and brashly against things I believe in. But this war in Israel that's going to happen, unless cooler head prevails. Now, here's my best hope for what happens in the Middle East. I already told you what I hope would happen in Ukraine to keep us out of that war. The only thing that's going to save us out of this war in the Middle East, I think, two things. Either Israel collapses before then, either Netanyahu's killed, Netanyahu flees the country, his own party collapses on him, or he gets something happens to the Yahoo where he's no longer in charge, and the remaining cabinet changes their position and starts doing things to reverse what they're doing. That may save us from war. Netanyahu fully intends to get us at war with Iran. That's their main arch enemy. That's why we got into war with Iraq. If you really look into it, that's why we invaded Iraq. It was because of the Yahoo. Way back then. We are slaves to Israel. Israel it's not the 51st state, folks. It's the first state. Israel is. Again, a lot of people are going to be getting mad at me over this. But we're going to.
World order.
Okay, somebody on Liberty Tree Radio said something that I can't say, that I shouldn't say on. I heard, and I don't think the people on YouTube heard it, but I'll repeat, and you can figure it out. Instead of saying the New World Order, the first one started with a J. Okay, I don't.
Exactly.
I don't want to repeat that. I don't really want to even say it. I don't even necessarily agree with it, but that's free speech. We have more free speech on Liberty Tree Radio, folks. By the way, for the people on YouTube, we actually have more free speech on Liberty Tree Radio. All the years I've been doing this on Liberty Tree Radio, I've never been censored. I censor myself, mostly on profanity, but I've never been censored by the folks at Liberty Tree Radio. YouTube, there are certain things I probably would never want to say, even though we supposedly have free speech, but this is a whole different platform. If YouTube starts blocking me too much and trying to boot me off the channel, I'll have to go to Rumble or some other platform. I already am on Rumble. I just don't have any videos up there yet.
I've ever really censored anybody on, Craig.
Okay. Ed at the people on YouTube probably couldn't hear him. Ed at the control booth at Liberty Radio says that they have never really censored anyone. Although I have heard them say, "Hey, cool down the profanity." I have heard them say that. It doesn't mean they can't say it, but it's actually a family-oriented program, a network, where they want the whole family to be able to learn and listen, even homeschoolers, you see. So that's one of their...
I will correct myself on that. I have censored a couple of people in situations where they're just calling in to disrupt other people's programs.
Disruptions. Okay. Yeah, Ed says also for those on YouTube that he has actually done a little bit of censoring for people who are probably blocking them or knocking them off the chat or whatever when they start causing disruptions. Trolls. I understand that. I get trolls on my channel all the time. I haven't really got any trolls on my live feeds, Eddie, but trolls are just part of what I do on YouTube because I debunk so many things. Okay, so is there a missile exchange between Israel and Iran, which already has been? It's just been Iran's been very careful about what they've done in retaliation, been very controlled. Israel hasn't been. Israel wants to do everything they can to start this war. Iran does not want to get in this war, but they will defend themselves. And if this keeps escalating in the Middle East, and Iran gets hit either by us or by Israel substantially, and Iran substantially strikes Israel, I'm hoping I'm keeping these countries straight here, then Iran has a lot of power in the Middle East. They have substantial military, maybe not so much on the ground, maybe not so much on the air. They do have some sea defenses, but they also have all this missile and drone technology. They're ready to fight this war. Even though they don't want to, they're ready to fight it. And they have a lot of countries that are going to be backing them in the Middle East. Countries even that weren't traditionally friends with Iran. Like, for instance, Russia, China.
Just a quick question for you and your audience. They have all this technology that we gave them. But yet somehow, because they have a border wall, they have mobile air defense, they have drones like you said, they have the Iron Dome. But somehow, the whole thing that started this war over there, all that dome, magic, the wall, the magic dome, their military, their border, all just happened to disappear from that area where the Gazans supposedly came across the border and attacked and stole a bunch of Israelis across the border. Everything just happened to fail perfectly on that day.
Okay, for those on YouTube, I'm pretty sure you can't hear what he said, and that's what that all silence was about. In a nutshell, basically, Israel is using our technology, and we have been sending, and Russians have been sending their technology to Iran, and the Russian technology may be beyond ours. I can't say for sure. And China is going to get involved too here, because here, this is what's going to happen. What's going to happen is if Israel wants to also bomb them into the Stone Age, as we say, they want to shut down all their oil production facilities and oil production around the region. And Iran is going to close the Straits of Hormuz if that happens. And that's going to be disastrous for the entire world as far as oil prices, energy. That's going to be a big disaster for us. We aren't going to want that to happen, but hey, we've attacked Iran. If that's what's going to happen here, then that's going to be, our economy is going to be in the crapper. Every country virtually in the world is going to be in the crapper when the price of oil triples or quadruples. Rationing, you name it. This could be really bad. We don't have the capacity to protect the oil fields or the Straits of Hormuz. Again, we've already been bombing the Houthi, a little ragtag bunch of, this is what they were been described as to us in the mainstream media, ragtag bunch of rebels or terrorists, of course, that have been blocking the Red Sea. Not completely blocking, but attacking any ship they want. And we haven't been able to stop them. Neither have the British and all the other ships out, and the other militaries, world power militaries in the area. They haven't been able to stop them. Nobody's been able to stop them. To think we're going to be able to stop Iran from blocking the Straits of Hormuz is just ludicrous. So watch the price of oil skyrocket. Watch our economy go in the crapper, which you voted for Trump because you thought his economy was going to be great, right? Well, no, he's drawing us straight into nuclear war. Well, again, it may not be nuclear. Some of the picks, Elise Stefanik, ambassador to the UN. Oh, good Lord, very pro-Israel. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, pro-Israel all the way. Mike Huckabee, even worse, pro-Israel all the way as ambassador to Israel. I've got a list of about 20 people here, but those are some of the chief ones involved in foreign policy. Total disaster as far as Israel policy. Now, my hope is that secretly, the other way we can remain out of this war is that if Trump has actually been campaigning against his true nature and his true goals. You see, because to keep us out of a war, he can't support Israel. There's no way around it. He is supporting Israel, so we all will be at war. But in order to be elected, he had to say that. Because if he said he was going to keep us out of a war with Israel too, and he was not going to support Israel or send them weapons anymore or use our military to support their country, he wouldn't have been elected. The deep state would not allow that. So maybe he's just talking a good game. Maybe he secretly is not going to support Israel when that time comes. That'd be my hope. It sure doesn't look likely. It looks like it's actually the actual reverse. But maybe that's secretly what's going to happen. I hope so. And this could go nuclear if we decide to try to attack the nuclear sites in Iran. And of course, it's fairly well the worst kept secret in the world that Israel has nuclear weapons. They could use the Samson option, which for them it basically means that, well, since we're going to die, we're going to take as many out with me as we can, and just start lobbing nuclear weapons at all their enemies. And then Israel gets taken out as well. Watch in the coming months what's happening here, the next 2 months especially, until Trump gets to office. When Trump's getting in office, things might change for the better, it might change for the worse. Probably change for the better in Ukraine, if we are in any full-scale war there. And it won't change for the better in Israel unless he's secretly hiding what his true intents are. The next 2 months are going to be extremely important. I have never, on my channel, fear-mongered the word World War III overall on my channel all these years. There's a lot of channels that do. Any prepper channels basically do. There's a prepper channel I appeared on as a guest. He kept saying World War III, World War III. For years, he's been saying World War III. Now, all of a sudden, he's not around. I don't know what happened to him. But anyway, I'm not even going to say his name. But prepper types have been saying, the fear-mongers have always been saying World War. World War doesn't mean necessarily nuclear war. World War just means a lot of countries involved and collaborating with each other. It's going to be basically Israel and us against the rest of the world. Or in the case of Ukraine, us against the rest of the world. Or in the case of Ukraine, the European Union member states, 32 countries, and the rest of the world against, or at least Russia and China, against us. We'll be called the Allies and they'll be called the Axis, right? China, I mentioned China. For those of you who don't understand, when the Straits of Hormuz are shut down, China will become involved. China depends on trade and the oil. They are not going to allow that to happen. China, even though, and why are we going to be at war with China or Taiwan? Why are we going to try to protect Taiwan? Why do we need to have another war in China or Taiwan. Why do we need that? Tell me the national security threat from Taiwan, from China. Well, there is one, but it's not what you think. China's preparing also for the nonsense that we are probably going to pull someday against them. The whole world hates us right now. Shouldn't have to. We brought all our troops home, brought all our equipment home, shut all our military bases overseas down, had only our troops here in this country, had only our troops defending our own nation, which is what the military is for, and minding our own business, keeping the CIA in our own borders. We wouldn't be as hated around the world. It'd take probably several generations to become the country we claim we are. Peace, prosperity, democracy, even though we're a republic, we're not a democracy. The world wouldn't hate us so much, and we wouldn't be a target for everybody around the world. They are bringing this country down. We'll bring this country down. We could easily be conquered when this happens. In either the Ukraine situation against Russia or the Israel situation against Iran. We won't survive this, and not emerge as the same country we were. And maybe that's a good thing because we've become despicable as far as our foreign policy all over the world has been absolutely terrible. And we've done it to ourselves. Most Americans do not want to get involved. Most Americans believe we need to support Israel. Why do we need to support Israel? Do you have any good reason? I'm sorry, I'm looking at different cameras here. Why do we need to support Israel? Somebody please tell me, why do we need to support Israel? Other than the fact that they give us money to support our politicians to get them reelected, why do we need to support Israel? Why are they our friends? Is anybody that attacks Israel a national security interest? They're a liability, not an asset to our country, the way I see it. Maybe there's something they import that I'm not aware of that we rely on. I think we can make things here again someday. We haven't made anything here in a long time. They've destroyed our infrastructure. We don't make things here anymore, so we're dependent on imports, which Trump wants to add tariffs now, which is also going to increase inflation, which is also going to increase tensions all over the world with more and more tariffs. Long term, it could be good for us. Tariffs aren't all necessarily bad, but in the short term, that's going to be high inflation. Our economy is going to be in ruins in the short term. Long term, it might help us because maybe we'll start making things here again. That's what Russia is doing. Besides all the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia over the last 2.5 years, their economy is doing great. They're doing much better. Sanction after sanction after sanction. How did that work for you? Now they're starting to make a lot of things in their own country instead of importing so much. And that's what we should have been doing a long time ago. But no, we're destroying our own country within. Something that the kind of concept that caller said on Liberty Tree Radio, the New World Order. National, worldwide, socialist, totalitarian form of government. Bring our country down so the rest of the world could be equal to us, so the rest of the world could be controlled by international, worldwide communism. That's the basic concept of the quote, New World Order, which even George Bush, the first, actually said in his speeches. So, let me see. North Korean troops. North Korean troops thing, folks. North Korean troops have been training with Russia for decades. This is nothing new. Whether or not they're really in the Kursk region like they're claiming might just be propaganda by the U.S. to try to get you to believe that that's why we need to send lob missiles over into the border via Ukraine in order to attack Russia. That might be all that is. I don't think they're really involved in any combat of any situation in Kursk. Kursk is a whole other story, folks. I don't have time here. For those of you on Liberty Tree Radio, I'm going to review. I haven't watched the comments in a while. I'm sorry, not Liberty Tree Radio. For those of you, I'm about ready to be off the air of Liberty Tree Radio, and thank everybody for joining me tonight. For those of you on YouTube, I'll stay on the air here for a little while. If you want to go on YouTube, for those of you on Liberty Tree Radio, want to continue to see what's going on, go to Forbid TV on YouTube. That's Forbid, spelled with 2 Ds, no space. Forbid TV on YouTube to find my channel. I'll be on live as long as people want to keep me on here, or until my voice goes out or whatever. So thanks everybody for listening on Liberty Radio. They're signing off now. So long. So now I'm only on. Let's see here. Hang up the phone. I do that on the phone. Hung up the phone. Now I'm only on YouTube. So okay, I'm yelling. Who makes up OPEC? I don't know the countries. Middle Eastern countries. They can control the oil flow, but if they shut down those Straits of Hormuz, that's going to be, it doesn't matter who OPEC is. OPEC would likely be siding with Iran in this case, but their economies will be destroyed as well. We need to keep out of foreign wars. Yes, we need definitely. This is what the whole thing I've been talking about tonight. Keep out of foreign wars. We have no business being there. We have no business being any of them. We need to stop looking at these other cameras and such now. Let's see. Muslim nations need to leave Israel alone. Well, yes and no. I mean, I partly agree with that. I mean, you're attacking Muslim nations. You're attacking a religion now when you say Muslim nations rather than a land. So you have to distinguish, just like I'm distinguished between the Jewish religion and the state of Israel, because I've never said anything negative against the Jewish religion in this whole, I never have in my entire life. I've been talking about those Z people. You're attacking a religion, not necessarily a government or a people. For thousands of years, Arabs have lived in, and that's been their land for thousands of years. You can argue all you want whether Israel, the J people, that's their promised land based on what they believe they see in the Old Testament and their Talmud. I don't need to argue that here right now, but Israel, you say they need to leave Israel alone. Well, look what Israel has done. Israel knew about the attacks on October, what day was it? October 7th, 8th, whatever it was, October 6th, whatever day that was, a little over a year ago. They knew attacks were coming. They were warned by Egypt. They ignored them. They stood off, stand down for about 8 hours from doing anything, retaliating or trying to control the situation. They stood back for a long time. The Mossad, one of the biggest, most advanced spy agencies in the world, somehow didn't know this was going to happen. They allowed it to happen. They allowed it to happen to justify them going in to clear out Gaza so they can put up condominiums along the beach. Essentially, that's what. Drive everybody out. If they can't drive everybody out, kill them. They haven't let anybody out. They're waiting for some country to come along and save the Palestinians by saying, okay, they can come into our country, but nobody wants them. Egypt doesn't want to open their borders. Jordan doesn't want to open their borders. Nobody wants to bring the Palestinians in to save them in their country. Unfortunately, they're all going to die if no country does that, or unless Israel collapses first. So you're talking about a religion versus a people, Arabs. Not all Arabs are Muslim. Not all Arabs are. I'm not sure what else I need to say about that. It's just like all Americans are not Christians. I mean, religions should be completely out of this. In my opinion, this really shouldn't have anything to do with the religion, but Israel's made it about their religion, unfortunately. And then, of course, the other religion on the other side is defending their religion, and so it becomes a religious war, unfortunately. But for Israel, it's about taking those territories. Okay, next comment. Palestinians need a new homeland, offshore. Get rid of Gaza, no two-party solution. Well, yeah, Israel's not going to allow a two-party solution, but most of the Middle East wants a two-party solution, a two-state solution. Palestinians, you're seeing Palestinians need a new homeland. Well, 70 years ago, it was the J people that needed a new homeland, right? After the Holocaust in Germany, it was the J people. I'm calling them the J people because of stupid YouTube censoring. It was the J people that needed a new homeland. And one of the things that was talked about, you can look this up if you don't believe me, something called the Madagascar solution or the Madagascar plan. One of the locations for this solution was to put them all in Madagascar. Claim that's not a continent, but claim the island, what's it referred to as, is a country. That's where the new J people would live. That's their new homeland. That was one of the solutions, but no, they picked one of the worst spots in the world to do it on land that people already claim to be their own by their religion. In Madagascar, it would have been something maybe similar, but they probably could have wiped out the natives in Madagascar. I don't know. I'd have to look into the military presence in Madagascar and find out how easy it would have been for them to take over Madagascar. I don't know, for the UN to create that. So, yeah, I don't know necessarily if I agree with some of those comments there, that the Palestinians need a new homeland. The Palestinians had a homeland for thousands of years. They're being driven out. Kind of like the U.S. drove out the natives out of their lands that they years. They're being driven out. Kind of like the U.S. drove out the natives out of their lands that they occupied for thousands of years on the continent of North America. Very similar situation. Oh, this land isn't yours anymore. This is mine. Move out or we'll kill you. You want to move out? Okay, we're going to drive you to make this reservation for you. It's called Gaza. I mean, no, it's called a reservation. And you got to live there. Good luck to you. At least we didn't kill them all. Kill a lot of them. We didn't kill them all. It's almost the same situation, folks. I'm not proud of that history. I'm an American, and I'm not proud of our history a lot of times. But no nation really has been immune to this either, all over the world since the beginning of time. Why haven't we supported Ukraine? Yeah, that's exactly. What benefit do we have to support Ukraine, other than to poke the bear? Well, what reason are we in Ukraine? I don't have an answer for that. Maybe you do. We should mind our own business. Yeah, yes, I said that. Yeah. Bring all our troops home, close all our military bases overseas, mind our own business. And stop sending money to all these countries. Watch what happens in the Middle East as far as the next 2 months. The key countries to watch, not only Iran and Israel, of course. Turkey, Jordan, Egypt, Syria, Saudi Arabia, in that order. The people of those first 3 countries are hopping mad at their administrations for basically sitting back and doing nothing. They're hopping mad. They're about ready to go through a revolution in some of those countries, but we back them. We meddled in business of other countries just yet again, and so they're reluctant to do anything to stop, so the flow of money keeps coming in for their countries. We got no business being in those countries, having any infrastructure or any control of those countries of Turkey, Jordan, or Egypt. We got no business being there. No national security interest. Defend our own country. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. Mind our own business. The Brits started this mess. Yeah, the Brits started this mess with the creation of Israel, basically, through the fall of the Ottoman Empire, the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire, and the creation of the UN. Brits had a big start of that. Somebody else was arguing with somebody online on the stream here saying, well, we support Israel at all costs, and hail Israel, must send more money. That's basically been our policy of the U.S. for decades. Are you going to post on, somebody asking me, are you going to post on your Rumble account? Rumble account. I think that person means Rumble. I haven't posted anything on Rumble. I have an account I created just in case I need to. I probably should. I just don't have the time to mess with it. Since I'm posting it, I have to figure it out. It's going to take a learning curve. I don't know. Someday I probably will have to. Because as soon as some kind of big major war starts, I will probably be off YouTube. So then I will have to. So yeah, go to Rumble. It's called Forbid TV, same name as this channel. Nothing's there right now, but if I get booted off of this channel because of the wars that are going to be starting, unless we get some miracles going to happen here, social media is going to have to be fully controlled. It's like they're controlling Twitter. And that's one of the reasons I hate Elon Musk so much. Social media is going to have to be controlled. They're going to have to clamp down on free speech. They're going to have to. They've already been trying to do it. They already have been doing it. YouTube is one example. During the coronavirus, there was a whole lot of things you couldn't say, or you got kicked off YouTube. Why was that? Not free speech. That's certainly not free speech. YouTube has their own demons to deal with, and YouTube is fully controlled, will block anything with a J name or that Z name from being posted on here on YouTube. Anything you say negative about the J's or the Z's will be eliminated off YouTube. Forbidden. Maybe that's why my show is called Forbidden Knowledge and Forbid TV. Right? So I don't know. Someday I probably will have to do Rumble. I have an account on starts with a Vimeo. I have some videos up there. It's so little people go there. It wasn't worth bothering with, but I had a backup plan in case, and that was years ago. And then Rumble came along later, and now that's the go-to platform if I want to have some semblance of free speech in the future. Thanks, everybody who gave us a thumb up. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Let me see. Here's the ending comments here. Medical misinformation. Oh, yeah, medical information. The picks that Trump picked, interesting ones. The ones that I'm kind of in favor of, partially anyway. You talk about medical misinformation. RFK Jr., head of the FAA, or no, not FAA, the F, one of those Fs. Which one? What is it? F. I'm looking it up here so I get it right. I got so many that I've written down here. Health and Human Services, which is Health and Human Services, which oversees a lot of other agencies dealing with health, right? The press is attacking him tremendously, and he probably could do some good. Let's hope so. He's very pro-Israel also. He wasn't the person to vote for president, but at least in the position he's in, he has no say in what happens in Israel. Tulsi Gabbard is another one I had high hopes for, but she makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways, but she's also pro-Israel, so I don't think she's going to be a big help of anything. As the director of national intelligence, which is interesting because she's been demonized by Homeland Security. She's basically on the watch list. Special treatment trying to travel based on her views and with things that she's said. She's been on a target list. So get some credibility when you get put on the target list like that. I have a whole list here, and I don't know about most of them, so I won't go over them individually. Okay, so unless there's any other comments here, I'm going to end it here. I guess I will keep this posted. This seems like it was a pretty good video to put up there, and I haven't been able to post it. I have hundreds of hours of video that I could post that have not been edited. A lot of things I've been doing. It's most of that related to politics. I haven't usually did much shows about politics on this channel. It's usually been things about what I'm doing or about debunking or about Fukushima. I have a lot of footage prepping. Most of the footage I have is about all the things I've been doing related to my construction project. So I have a lot of footage, just don't have the time to put them all together. Someday I'll be doing it. I don't know how many of my viewers watch me because of this content. Probably not very many. In fact, based on that last video I did here about 3 weeks ago, I lost a bunch of subscribers. Now, I don't know if that's YouTube doing it or if it's actually people not subscribing because they don't like my opinions. Hey, whatever. I'm not doing this for money anyway. If I lose some subscribers, so be it. I like to see my subscriber base expanding. It just tells me I'm doing good. I'm not making any money either way. But I would rather I'd like to see my work that I do for free to become recognized more as something to the good. And more subscribers is one way that would happen. And I've lost a lot of subscribers on that last video. Maybe I'll lose a lot of this video too. So be it. I don't change my views. Don't have to. Because I do this for money. Like other people on YouTube are doing this for money. You don't see any commercials running. If there's any commercials that plays during this video, or any of my videos, it's not because of me. I didn't do that. I have no sponsors. I have no links in the description for affiliate links. I have no way of making donations. You can't make a donation to me. There's no way of doing it. I don't have a monetized channel. YouTube hates me for that, and make sure I don't grow. That's the way it is on YouTube. Maybe it's not the same way on Rumble. I don't know yet. I wouldn't try to make any money on Rumble either, even if I could. But if I lose my free speech outlet, I probably will go there. Okay, so I'm going to end it there. I guess no other questions. Thanks everybody for watching. I will end the stream now. So long until next time.